Alright, so this is the last video for section 4.2, and this is going to show you how to change from standard form to vertex form. We're going to do 2 examples like that, and then at the end there will be 1 example where we're going to change from vertex form to standard form. Okay. So alright, back up here. You've got to remember first what vertex form looks like so that we know how to change from our standard to the vertex form. Okay, so y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Remember, you've got to have your a value here, and your vertex is the h and the k. Well, guess what? I already know what my a value is. So I can go ahead and plug that in. So a is negative 2. There's my x minus h squared plus k. All you have left to do now is find the vertex. Well, we have found the vertex in the last several examples we've done. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll just plug it in and you're done. So we're going to start with x equals negative b over 2a. This will give me the axis of symmetry. So this time b is negative 4. So when I have a negative that's part of the formula, and then my negative 4, that's going to give me a positive 4 on the top. Then on the bottom, I have 2 times negative 2 gives me negative 4. So my x value, or the x part of the vertex, is negative 1. To find the y part of the vertex, I'm going to plug that in. So that's going to be negative 2 times negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 plus 6. All I did was plug a negative 1 in for each of those x's. And now I've got to simplify it. So y equals negative 2 times. Now, when I square a negative 1, I get 1. Just going to bring everything else down. Oops, let me fix that right there real quick. That is a negative 1 right there, not a negative 4. Alright, so that gives me y equals negative 2 plus 4 plus 6, so y equals 8. So now, remember, this is the x part of the vertex, this is the y part of the vertex. So my vertex is negative 1, 8. So let's just plug it in here. So I've got y equals negative 2, and then x minus negative 1 squared plus 8. Well, that will simplify in that parenthesis to be x plus 1 squared plus 8. And this is your vertex form. Right? So that was the first example. The next one, I want you to try this one on your own. So pause the video for just a minute. Remember, you've got to find your a value, and you've got to find the vertex, and then all you're doing is plugging them in here. Okay, so go ahead and pause it. When you get finished, come back and check it with mine. Alright, so I know my a value is in front of x squared, a is equal to 1. So now, to find the axis of symmetry, I'm going to do negative b over 2a. So that's going to be negative 6 over 2 times 1. Gives me negative 6 over 2, simplifies to negative 3. That is the x part of my vertex. So now we want to go back to the original equation, take this -3, plug it in for each of the x's. So that is -3 squared plus 6 times -3 minus 5. So I've got 9 minus 18 minus 5. Well, 9 minus 18 is -9, minus 5 is -14. So the y part of the vertex is -14. So let's plug in the a, the h, and the k. So that gives me y equals 1 times x minus -3 squared minus 14. So that gives me 1 times x plus 3 squared minus 14. So because this a value is a 1, you can write it if you want to, but you don't have to. So you could write your vertex form like this if you would like to. But either of these these answers is completely and totally acceptable. All right, one more example. All right, so in this last example, we're given vertex form, and we want to change it to standard form. About the only time you really want to or need to do this is if they're asking for the y-intercept, because you can't just look at this and know the y-intercept, but you can from standard quadratic form. So what I want to do is get rid of my parentheses, combine all my like terms. Okay. Here's where you've got to be real careful, or some of you are going to make a mistake that is very, very common, but we're going to try to fix it here. Remember, if you square something, that means multiply it by itself. So when I am squaring this parenthesis, that means I should multiply that parenthesis by itself. And if you will go ahead and write it out like this, you will avoid the mistake that I see all the time. And no, I'm not going to tell you what that mistake is, because then some of you will make it even if you wouldn't normally. Okay? So what we're going to do is multiply these together first. When I get that answer, then I'm going to distribute my 3 to that answer. Since this is a binomial times a binomial, we can do FOIL, or you can just double distribute. That means take this x times both of those, and then take this 2 times both of those. Whether you call it double distribute or FOIL, it's the same thing. So when I multiply x times x, I get x squared. X times 2 gives me 2x. Now distribute this 2, it's going to give me 2x plus 4. I've got some like terms in here that I want to put together. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got 3 times x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 1. Now distribute your 3 into that parenthesis, and you'll get 3x squared plus 12x plus 12, bring down your minus 1. Now you have some more like terms to put together. So y equals 3x squared plus 12x plus 11. This is your standard form, and now you can look at this and know what your y-intercept is. All right, that's it. If you have questions, please make sure you ask them in class.